Welcome back to Silicon Scoop. How you doing today, John?
I'm good. We're recording this on February 9th, and it's freezing out there. So trying to stay warm. How are you doing?
Yeah, we're in the middle of this nor'easter. It's one of the colder winters we've had in a long time.
Over a decade, yeah.
So I don't know. I miss the cold winters, but then it comes and I don't miss it. So I'm okay with it going away. It's been a while, but
Yeah.
we might as well jump in. We got a lot to talk about today, and it starts with robots that feel. Imagine shaking a robot's hand and it actually feels your grip, not just as data, but as a physical sensation. We aren't talking about science fiction anymore. Researchers just developed a new type of electronic skin that gives machines human like reflexes, allowing them to pull away from pain before even think about it. This is a massive leap forward from standard sensors to what's being called NRE skin. Unlike traditional robots that process data like a computer, constant streams of numbers, the skin mimics the human nervous system. It turns touches into spikes of electricity, just like our nerves do. This allows robots to have instant reflexes, massive energy savings, and modular parts that snap together like magnets. It's a difference between a robot that's programmed to move and a robot that can truly feel. What do you think about this, John?
I think this is cool, and it's what we'll have to see is how do they implement this into the robots. Like obviously, it's going to help with force and different things like that. But I love this because it's inspired by biological neurons and sensory pathways, right? So instead of constant analog data streams, the sensors themselves generate electrical signals when pressure changes, kind of like our skin, like with our nervous or with our nerves, right? So it's similar to how the neural activity encodes the sensory experiences in our nervous system, to put it kind of in a better way. The key innovation, though, is the hierarchical architecture of this. So it's not just sensitive to touch; it actually distinguishes gentle contact from harmful or painful force by encoding intensity into the spike patterns. This makes kind of total sense to me as far as what is needed to create artificial skin. So when the force exceeds a preset threshold, the system can send a high voltage pulse to the robot's actuators directly, triggering like a reflective reaction without involving the central processor. So it's similar to how reflexes in animals are mediated by the spinal cord. So the design, it's going to help to improve safety and responsiveness, which is crucial for robots working around humans. Now, the cool part about this is how they created the skin. So they embedded pressure sensors into flexible polymers, and we covered flexible chips and polymers in previous episodes, and those are connected through conductive paths. So they needed to design materials that remain stretchable, durable, and sensitive while translating mechanical deformation to electrical events. And this is a major challenge is for them. So the skin itself has to balance mechanical flexibility with electronic reliability and preserve signal integrity across the surface. So again, back to my point, I think this is amazing. I love how they approach this. It's kind of a simple-esque design. They didn't overcomplicate it, if that makes sense. What are your thoughts?
I like this idea. We got a nice comment here. We're in Star Trek times, apparently.
We're close to data.
Yeah.
From SDNG. Let's hope.
This is great. And because people can think of this easy. Think of your own body. If you touch a hot stove, your hand pulls away before your brain realizes it hurts. That's a reflex. Now this tech gives the robots the exact same ability, right? Instead of the central. Pardon? Sorry,
that was Ian that commented. He's good. He's a friend of mine. Good.
This tech gives robots the exact same ability. Instead of a central processing unit micromanaging every touch, the skin itself handles the immediate reaction. And this is kind of a breakthrough because current robots are, clumsy, like you mentioned. They either don't feel anything or they have to process so much data to feel that they become slow and power hungry. This skin uses event-driven processing, meaning it sleeps until it's touched, making it incredibly fast and efficient and, efficient power wise. So the concept of this, anything we can do to lower the power consumption of the robots and make them more responsive and adaptive is great, because they're coming. We see it all the time. So we're looking for future impact things like safer robots with cobots. Collaborative robots can work right next to humans. If they accidentally bump into you, they will recoil instantly, preventing injury. Next gen prosthetics, artificial limbs that can provide realistic sensory feedback, allowing users to hold an egg without crushing or dropping it. Social robots, caregiver robots that can distinguish between a gentle pat and a harmful impact, allowing them to react with appropriate emotions and tensions. So we're seeing working prototypes now, robot arms and faces, but they're expecting a commercial rollout about 3 to 5 years. And it's unknown what the costs are going to be, but I imagine it's not going to be cheap at first.
No, definitely not. Yeah, but so first off, smart that they're pulling from inspiration from biology, right? The best kind of inventions or the best kind of things here definitely pull from things that are found in nature. A lot of our medications come from nature. So I like that. Obviously there's some challenge. They're going to have to, so there's some things, right? How is it going to sense temperature versus pressure, right? So that's going to be a challenge that they're going to have to work on. Obviously AI integration for context interpretation, that's going to help. Multimodal sensing, which is the temperature plus pressure. And the current prototypes apparently struggle with complex overlapping sensory input. So the scalability of this is going to be a big thing. The other thing is the actual skeleton itself, right? So right now it's metal for the most part, right? So how are they going to soften that? How are they going to make things more human-like, if that makes sense?
Yeah, we'll have to see. I mean, it may not be a priority to make it more human-like, but eventually someone's going to want to do it.
For sure. Yeah.
Like you said, right now it's mostly limited to pressure. It doesn't have a full range of human skin. It can't tell the difference between hot and cold, but that sounds like just a sensory, adding more sensors situation.
Potentially. Yeah.
And it can't detect chemical spills or feel fine textures like silk or cotton. So
no.
There's concerns about integration complexity. We have millions of dumb robots in the world. Retrofitting them with smart skin requires a total overhaul of how robot brain talks to its body. So
yeah,
don't expect this happen overnight. It's going to be only the new ones potentially in 3 to 5 years. So I don't think we'll be retrofitting too much with it.
No, but I like where this is going. This is the next step. This is a critical step that's needed to getting androids in the real world.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely a huge step, because again, the accidentally bumping into people is a potentially huge issue for them to start getting into the home or the mall and because people don't look out. They're not spatially aware of what's around them and stuff, and they back into people all the time. So it'd be bad if they backed into like a robot like Megatron that didn't move. You hurt like hell. Yeah. So the verdict is this the first real step toward robots that don't just occupy space, but actually inhabit the environment safely? So does a robot that feels pain deserve better treatment? Let us know your thoughts in the comments, and we'll keep watching this story closely. If you've ever felt like a complete zombie after a long international fight, you need to hear this. Scientists have just discovered a compound that could literally be a reset button for your biological clock. We are looking at a breakthrough compound currently called MIC-628. This isn't another weak herbal supplement. It's a chemical developed by researchers in Japan that target the molecular machinery of your body's clock. In early testing, it cut jet lag recovery time by nearly half, potentially solving one of the biggest headaches of modern travel and shift work. What do you think's going on here, John? What do you think about this?
I love this. I love it because this would have been great for when I was traveling over to Europe with the 7 hour difference. But I liked it because this is interesting because it could help a lot of people who suffer from jet lag. Now, before we dive into this, I know that there are some planes like the Boeing Dreamliner and different things like that have implemented systems and air systems, circulation systems into their plane to help with jet lag, and apparently that does help. But right now, the best way to overcome jet lag is to stay up for 24 hours and then take the red eye. And there's a bunch of strategies, right? So I like this because there's a potential, not cure, but a potential solution. So the way it works is it activates PER1, which is one of the central clock genes, and it binds to CRY1, which is a protein that normally suppresses PER1 activity. So when the MIC628 binds CRY1, it removes that suppression, and that allows PER1 to be expressed. And this leads to an advance in the circadian phase, which means the portion of the 24-hour cycle that controls sleep and behavior shifts earlier, essentially. So unlike light therapy or melatonin, which depend essentially on precise timing to be effective, MIC628 produces essentially a time-independent phase advance. So it reliably moves the clock forward regardless of when it's taken. Now, what does this do to the brain? What does this do to the body? I don't know. Obviously, there's going to have to be some testing that has to be done. What are the long-term effects? But if there aren't any long-term effects, it can't be worse than not getting any sleep for 48 hours. I don't know. What do you think? Do you think this is a safe thing to take?
Well, I mean, it's early yet, right? Because the control group and testing is mostly mice. So is it safe to take? I wouldn't be jumping on the bandwagon first. But I sit back and say, jet lag's one thing. The shift work thing is interesting, but people often end up with their sleeping out of whack. Yeah. They wake up in the middle of the night all the time. I wonder if this will evolve into a treatment where you can reset your clock back to proper sleep cycle for regular individuals that just get out of whack. So I like the concept. I like where it's going. I like what I'm hearing about it. Yeah. But it's got a long way to go before I think I'd take it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. But I like that there's a potential solution, because right now there's very limited approaches to help with jet lag, and it affects a lot of people. And for those of you that don't really understand what jet lag is or haven't traveled and experienced it, it's not just feeling tired. It's the result of the body's clock being out of sync with environmental time cues. And so this affects hormones like melatonin, body temperature, rhythms, digestion, and alertness. So if this could help change that quickly, this would be great. So, but the other thing to think about too, is if this resets your circadian clock, so could it not help with a sleep disorder, or people who have shift work health issues, or other misalignment conditions?
That's exactly what I was talking about. So
yeah,
I'd love to see it. So it solves the internal desynchrony problem. What you're referring to is where your brain, liver, and muscles are all operating at different time zones, and it forces them all to sync up and move forward together. This could impact your life. Recover from a New York to London flight in 2 days instead of the usual 4 to 5. You mentioned nurses or factory workers could shift from day to night shifts without the week-long brain fog. Athletes and business executives can land and be ready to perform at 100% faster for like pro leagues and stuff. So this is a preclinical phase tested on mice. It'll likely take years of safety testing before it hits a pharmacy, but I really like it. And, It works by advancing the clock. This makes it amazing for traveling east, like US to Europe, but potentially less useful or more complicated traveling west. So we'll have to see what that means. And safety is a big concern. The drug manipulates genes and proteins deep inside your cells. Critics and regulators will need to be 100% sure that messing with these core biological mechanism doesn't cause toxicity or raise cancer risk before humans start taking it.
Yeah.
So, MiC 628 produces a unidirectional phase advance. It consistently moves the clock forward regardless of when it's administered. So this is the first time we've seen a potential drug that fixes the root cause of jet lag inside your cells rather than masking the symptoms. And, would you take a pill to hack your biology and to skip the jet lag? Or does messing with your genes sound a little too risky? Let us know what you think in the comments, and we'll continue to watch the story. It's always something with this guy, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's always making the news. So I wonder whether it's just got to make sure people are continue to talk about him. So we got to
maybe
keep
he's
that,
trying to distract from something else, but yeah.
I don't know. Well, I mean, whether it is or not, it's big news whenever he does stuff just because of the amount of money involved.
Yep.
And talking about the amount of money involved, Elon Musk just dropped a massive bomb on the tech industry. That sounds like it was ripped straight out of a sci-fi novel. He officially merging SpaceX and his AI company into XAI into a single $1 trillion monster that plans to put supercomputers into orbit. If you thought Starlink was ambitious, you haven't seen anything yet. SpaceX is acquiring XAI in a share exchange deal that values the combined company at a staggering $1.25 trillion. This isn't just about corporate shuffling. The goal is vertical integration on a galactic scale. Musk plans to build space-based data centers, literally launching AI servers into orbit to run on unlimited solar power, solving the massive energy crisis currently facing the AI industry. What do you think about this?
Yeah. So I just read something about those data centers in space, by the way, and there's so many challenges like radiation, and there's a whole bunch of issues that are coming in that like they're just starting to talk about now. So who knows if those are actually going to take off. But so again, this is a weird deal to me because he owns both of these companies, right? And so is this one of those circular things where there's money going from one to another, to another, to another, just to kind of maintain it? And the second question I have is, do people still use Grock? I haven't heard of it much lately. Obviously Claude just released their 4.6 and ChatGPT is working on some things, but I haven't heard anything from Grock. But so apparently this transaction was structured as an all stock deal. Apparently with careful legal and tax planning to avoid triggering debt repayment clauses and to defer tax obligations. So that's why it's kind of skeptical to me. So the structure, it preserves existing operations while consolidating governance and financial exposure under one umbrella. So apparently this also streamlines the path to a potential IPO for SpaceX later in 2026, which has the potential to become one of the largest public listings ever, in my opinion. But we'll have to see what happens. There was some news this morning, too, that Musk is now focusing on the moon instead of Mars. So there's a bunch of stuff going on with him that, obviously this guy is doing a lot, and he seems to know what he's doing. But what do you think about this? Do you think this is a smart move? Do you think this is legit, or is this kind of smoke and mirrors?
Well, to talk about Grock 4.1 was released late January. So along with all the recent things, so they've been, and there's a bunch of different versions. It's generally well received, but I think it's been overshadowed by the other news. whenever I see this, my brain goes to, oh, it's big boys playing big boy games when you're talking about shuffling this kind of money around. I think it makes sense at some level.
Okay.
But it also, I thought XAI was going to merge with Tesla, honestly, because to drive the AI powering the robots. So that's kind of where I thought there was a merger coming. I just thought it was going to be with Tesla. Now,
okay, interesting.
The concept, I guess, is that for XAI or Grock to continue, they need these massive data centers. And we've been talking about this for the last year. Microsoft, everybody's going nuclear to power their data centers. They're spending billions of dollars. People are $500 billion on data centers, and NVIDIA's all in. Now NVIDIA's all out. Now OpenAI's in, and they're going to get everything's changing. But if his plan is to, I have to compete and I have to do this, but I think I'm going to do it in space. Okay, that's interesting. And if you are going to do that, if your biggest power centers are going to be in space, so you don't have to build nuclear power plants. Like, we're talking about saving billions of dollars in energy to house this. So it's not crazy. It's just interesting. So I think with this, it makes sense that Elon Musk has shifted his focus because the goal, I guess, is to power SpaceX, power Tesla, power XAI, and keep these companies on the leading edge of everything. And data centers on the moon and in space make a lot more sense than trying to do something on Mars.
That does make sense. And also start small and then get to Mars. So, like, prove everything in space on the moon, and then expand to Mars. I think that's what he's realizing. So his big rocket obviously is ready, but I think there's a lot more that he's not ready for Mars, and I think he sees that. But the thing about this merger is there's the combined entity. It can compete on multiple fronts. So it can compete on space hardware, can compete on satellite communications, terrestrial, possibly orbital, compute infrastructure, and AI services, which is a very different footprint from traditional tech companies. So he's kind of at the forefront of this with this merger. That makes sense. But to me, and again, I don't understand the structure between the two companies, but why did they need to merge in order to do this, to share this information between each other, right? To me, it seems like it's a merger to save XAI more than anything.
To me, it's something completely different. If I want to go past the surface and I want to put on my big brain hat, I say, okay, people don't understand how much money SpaceX makes from Starlink versus Starshield. Most people don't even know what Starshield is. Starshield is the military product that they use, that they sell to the military, that does all, like, internet anywhere, but also on satellites. You can use their satellite system to target and locate targets and target military strikes from 1,000 miles away and all this stuff. And saying, okay, well, with the world stepping up to BRICS versus NATO versus this versus that, what's the next version of the military spend? And if the military is all in on AI powering their planes and powering all these things, Elon's saying, I'm going to be the person with the AI in those things, because I'll be the satellite, will be real time, it'll be faster, less delays. So I think we're going after some military contracts where the real money is, and that's kind of the underlying thing behind it. But that's just logic from my point of view, is that if they can start powering militarized weapons and auto targeting and all this stuff with huge AI, you can do so much more. And as soon as you have data centers in the cloud you can power, and you can throw some quantum on top of that, it's a complete game changer. So I think he's thinking along those lines versus anything else.
So it'll be interesting to see where this goes, and I'm excited for the IPO, for sure, for SpaceX IPO, and we'll see how this. Well, we won't know how this affects it, because it'll already be merged before they file their IPO. But this will be interesting.
Yeah, and the fact that these data centers can run 24/7 on solar power without taking up land on Earth and taking up power and resources, that's cool. So I mean, I like the concept versus what other people are doing. So with unlimited solar power in space, AI models could get get faster, much smarter than they could on Earth because we don't have the same power limitations that we down here. So deals happening now. We'll have to see if it passes regulatory, if anybody steps in on this.
I doubt it because he's aligned with some pretty powerful people.
Well, he is aligned politically, but let's face it, if this is military specific and whatnot, he'll either have people pulling for him from the military or pulling against them. And there's a lot of money being spent on military contracts. So we'll have to wait and see. I could just say that I don't think, Raytheon or many of the other people are going to just take this sitting down is all I'm saying. Like,
yeah, true. Yeah.
He's not the only one in this game. Critics worry about centralization that puts the world's biggest rocket company, a massive internet provider, and a leading AI lab under total control of one person. But I'm not sure that is all that big of an issue, but because, eventually it won't be.
Yeah.
Like, great. But I don't think Elon will be in total control of these things in 10 years, because if you've got 100 data centers in space and you got this, it's impossible. So we'll have to see, but maybe he's building the AI that can run all this for him, and but at some point you have to divest yourself from every functioning company, because if you're the only thing that makes it work, then it's gonna go away at some point. So if this helps the energy crisis, if it looks like it's going to help the investors, scaling to make a sentient sun to understand the universe and extend the light of consciousness to the stars is what Musk put in an eternal memo. By moving the AI power consumption problem to space, Musk might have just solve the problem, the biggest bottleneck in tech history. If rockets don't melt the servers first, is this a genius move that saves the energy grid or a $1 trillion sci-fi fantasy? Let us know what your thoughts are in the comments, and we'll keep watching the skies. Speaking of watching the skies.
Yeah. This is cool.
Imagine a massive aircraft carrier, but instead of floating on the ocean, it's parking itself at the very edge of space to launch drone swarms. China has just unveiled a concept of a hypersonic mothership that looks straight out of a sci-fi movie, and we need to separate the facts from the CGI. China is actively researching a space carrier, a reusable near space platform designed to hover between the Earth's atmosphere and open space. From this high altitude, it would release unmanned fighter jets capable of firing hypersonic missiles. While currently just a concept, it is making headlines because it signals a terrifying leap into military ambition, blurring the lines between an airplane and a spaceship to dominate global warfare. What do you think about this, John?
This is cool. And when I started reading this, I immediately thought of the Avengers helicarrier.
Of course.
Yeah, but so I like this, but let's just set the groundwork here, okay? Despite the bold visuals, if you go look at the article and stuff like that, the technology required to build or deploy such a carrier like this doesn't exist yet. Sorry to ruin your hopes, but it's still cool, and I like the fact that this is outside of a story. Like, this is something that China has kind of come up with, right? So here's some of the fundamental obstacles that experts have pointed out. So the propulsion and flight dynamics. So sustaining 120,000 ton structure at the edge of space or in orbit would require propulsion systems and fuel capacities far beyond current engineering capabilities. Now, I know in the past we've covered different ion engines and different things like that. If those advance, then maybe yes, I think so. The other thing, launch and assembly logistics. So there's no launch system in operation today, not even heavy lift vehicles, that could loft such a massive structure intact into orbit. So modular assembly in space is theoretically possible, but it would demand significant advancements in robotics, docking systems, and space construction. Now, again, we do have there are some talks of new space stations and things like that. Maybe that's going to help. Who knows? Now, the other thing is power, cooling, and defense. So that's operating at near space altitudes. So that presents challenges in energy generation, but who knows if solar power could be enough at that height, thermal management, and protection from space debris and radiation. Because we have tons of satellites up there. There's tons of space debris. There's tons of space garbage. But they can overcome all of that. Then we'll have it. So I like that we're covering this article because this is really, really Silicon Scoop, future techs kind of stuff. And I like that they're thinking so big, if that makes sense. What are your thoughts?
I like that they're thinking so big, but this just justifies my statement I made on the last thing we talked about, why he's putting Elon Musk is putting huge AI data centers in space, because these satellites will see all this stuff coming.
Yeah.
Anyway, you mentioned it. It's a giant mothership that flies between 20 and 100 kilometers, too high for planes, but too low for satellites, and drops smaller, faster drones to do the fighting. It exploits current blind spot in defense. Current air defense shoot down planes or satellites higher. A ship in this near space is incredibly hard to target. So the research into heat-resistant materials and engines could eventually speed up the commercial air travel, London to Sydney. Some benefits from the technology that they're researching: expect more Space Force style news and increased military spending, which impacts tax dollars. And increased militarization of this zone could threaten GPS and comm satellites our phones rely on. But, based on everything, this is decades away, 25 plus years. Experts say this.
I would say even further. Like we're almost talking Star Trek kind of stuff, like the size that they're talking about, right?
Yeah, I don't think it. I think it's flying at the wrong satellite. I think it would have to exist outside the atmosphere if it wanted to fly that way and stay.
At that point, wouldn't it be a spaceship then?
I guess so. And then I just saying, because otherwise you're not getting the power from the sun. If you're 100% nuclear powered, maybe, but we're a ways away from that. So don't panic. Treat this as concept art, not breaking news threat. It is not operational. Many experts believe this is a paper tiger propaganda designed to scare the West and boost national pride rather than imminent weapon. The Star Wars comparison aren't a compliment. They imply it's just pure science fiction. So let's watch. Go ahead.
Yeah, here's the thing. Here's why we're talking about this, right? Because if you follow our podcast, which you should go back and listen, but there are technologies being developed that are still in the lab phase, that if they become production worthy, this sky carrier could become reality. So it's not too far-fetched. It's obviously further out than most things that we cover, but it is possible.
Well, not only that, but I think informing people of all this stuff is cool. People want to stay on the cutting edge, but it's also business related. When you look at this stuff and say, oh, so China's doing this and got a space carrier, so the U.S. is going to be spending, and Western companies are going to be spending a lot more money on military, on space, on that. Contracts will become available. What are the business opportunities for us in this space to take advantage of what's happening? Like, it's looking at things like this to say, all right, that means this is shot off the bow. The U.S. and other people are going to have to respond with more space and more whatever protection just in case it happens. So they're going to have to do a 10-year, 15-year, 25-year development of a counter weapon towards this. So that's why it's like, what's the next Canadian space arm, right? Like how can we start jumping on these things when we see the spending? Can we do more satellite tracking? Can we do all these things? And how can Canada be involved, or anybody who happens to be listening? So, I mean, it's interesting news, but it's also, we like to keep track of the news, but it potentially business savvy people can take advantage of these types of things because it does impact finances across the world.
For sure. Yeah.
So, surprising fact, we don't actually know who owns near space. International law covers airspace for planes and outer space satellites, but this carrier operates in a legal gray zone where no treaties currently apply. So this space carrier is physically possible, but technologically improbable for at least another 2 decades. You say much longer, which is great. It's a signal of ambition, not ability. So is this glimpse of a World War III or just a very expensive publicity stunt? Let us know what you think in the comments below. And don't forget to hit a follow for that reality check on Future Tech. We're burning through them today. What's going on, John?
Yeah, what's going on? That's fine.
That's perfectly fine. Normally, we don't have time for the last one. So,
yeah.
All right. Today, we're going to look at a massive update to one thing everyone hates most: battery life. If you're tired of your phone dying or your smartwatch needing a nightly charge, you need to hear about this new breathing battery technology out of China that literally uses light to recharge itself. Researchers of Donghua University have developed a new type of zinc air battery that solves the two biggest problems in tech: battery life and flexibility. By using a special catalyst that reacts to light, they've created a battery that is safe, bendable, stays stable for 1,100 hours. This isn't just a better battery, it's potential replacement for lithium ion that could power the next generation of wearable tech and renewable energy storage. Zinc air batteries, John, what do you think about these?
These are cool. I like this. So we've covered batteries in the past, but I don't think we've ever covered a metal air electrochemical cell like this. So this is cool. So zinc air batteries, they belong to a class of metal air electrochemical cells, and that generates electricity via the oxidation of zinc at the anode and the reduction of oxygen at the cathode using atmospheric oxygen as a reactant. So the architecture essentially gives them a high theoretical energy density and the potential for low cost, safety, and abundant raw materials, right? Which has many advantages over the current lithium ion batteries. But slow oxygen electrochemistry and poor reaction kinetics at the air electrode, they've essentially limited their power density and cycling stability, which hinders commercial use in rechargeable applications. Now, the breakthrough lies in the design of the photo-enhanced electrocatalyst for the air electrode. So researchers, what they did was they integrated graphitic carbon nitride nanosheets with a carbon nanofiber network hosting dual cobalt active sites. So specifically, the cobalt nanoparticles are encapsulated in carbon nanotubes and atomically dispersed. And so this arrangement forms a directional charge transfer when exposed to light, which is super, super cool. So under illumination, the photo-generated electrons flow through the conductive framework to drive the oxygen reduction reaction, or ORR, while the photo-generated holes facilitate the oxygen evolution reaction at the adjacent sites. So the spatial charge separation, it reduces energy barriers and it suppresses charge recombination. And that results in an unusually small overpotential gap of about 0.684 volts and enhanced kinetics for both oxygen reactions, which is a key factor, a key limiting factor in metal air systems. I love the potential for this. And so they've overcome the bottleneck essentially, right? And this is huge. What are your thoughts?
a standard zinc air battery that pulls oxygen from the air to generate power sounds great. And this new version adds light sensitivity layer, making the solar power mixed with the battery supercharges a chemical reaction, making it more powerful and efficient. I think this is great. Current lithium ion batteries are rigid, flammable, degrade quickly. This new tech is flexible, can be bent non-flammable, and holds a massive charge. So we could see this in wearables, smartwatches, health monitors that wrap comfortably around your wrist without bulky battery block, or more safely, no more thermal runway or exploding hoverboards that use safe water-based ingredients, or like e-bikes that exploding with those lithium ions. Devices that last 45 plus days on a single charge cycle implementation. Those things are all possible with this. So I'm loving the concept.
Yeah, me too. This is promising. So obviously there's scaling issues, and they're going to have to address anode degradation, zinc dendrite growth, and long-term cycle life. But they're common issues in metal air systems. But obviously they're going to have to continue to develop catalysts, electrolytes, and electrode designs to get to some sort of a commercial deployment kind of state. But I think this has a lot of promise. Are we going to see it in the next couple of years? Doubtful. Are we going to see it in the next 5 to 10? Potentially.
And let's not forget that it relies on light assistance. So the impressive stats, 310 milliwatts power density, happen when the battery is illuminated. We need to know how well it performs in a dark pocket or at night or in your room when the light's turned off. Making carbon nanofiber networks in a lab is one thing. Making millions of them for iPhones is a manufacturing nightmare that has yet to be solved. So I like the idea, but yeah, they do have some challenges to get over. But, the power density is good. It still does well when bent. It holds that stable charge for over 45 days. Actually uses the graphic carbon nitride you mentioned as a semiconductor to act like a leaf to harvest light, allowing the battery to close that voltage gap, waste less energy. I'm really excited about this. The promise, this is the most promising step we've seen toward batteries that are actually safe enough to wear and efficient enough to power a green grid.
Yeah.
So is a battery that, go ahead.
No, I was just going to agree with you. Yeah.
So is a battery that eats light the future, or just a cool lab trick? Let us know what you think in the comments below, and we'll keep watching this story closely. We're looking at a massive update to how we treat blindness. That sounds straight out of a sci-fi movie. The FDA just gave the green light to a therapy that doesn't just stop vision loss. It claims to actually reverse the aging of your eye cells to turn your sight back. This is headline news because a company called Bioscience just got FDA clearance to start human trials for therapy called ER100. Unlike every other glaucoma treatment in history, which only tries to lower eye pressure to stop things from getting worse, this therapy performs a biological factory reset on your eye's neuron. It's the first serious attempt to cure blindness by reversing the age of the cells themselves. What's going on here, John?
Yeah. So for those of you who follow our podcast, you'll be like, oh, didn't you cover something similar? No. What we did cover were therapies that tried to fix damage or bypass it. So this one is different as it tries to turn the clock back on the neurons themselves. And so just to kind of talk about the problem, so many age-related vision disorders, which include open-angle glaucoma, non-arteritic anterior, so NAON, they stem from irreversible loss of retinal ganglion cells, or RGCs. So these are the neurons that connect the eye's retina to the brain. And once these neuron dies, the visual pathway deteriorates. And there's currently no treatment that can restore these lost neurons or reverse the damage. So existing therapies, they mostly manage symptoms such as high eye pressure, but don't fix the underlying neuronal degeneration. Wow, I'm having a hard time speaking today. So how the ER100 works, it's based on a cutting-edge biotechnology approach known as partial epigenetic reprogramming. And it rewires how cells use their genes rather than altering the genetic code themselves. So it utilizes 3 key transcription factors, which are derived from the Nobel Prize-winning work on Yamakana factors that reset cellular age markers. So when introduced into cells, these factors act like cellular reset buttons, which restore the youthful epigenetic patterns in aging or damaged retinal neurons without turning them fully into stem cells. So I think this is cool. Does it have other applications? Yes. Does it have promise? Yes. What are your thoughts?
I think this is really cool. Again, it's too early for us to tell, but like FDA have clearance. So it's been working. It's been a trial, and now we're on to human trial. So we're going to see that this could reach patients within, a few years. I like this concept because so many people have this, their eyes, degrade mine over time, and it'd be nice to, reset this somehow. And if you could have a shot that does this would be great. Current treatments drop surgery, only fix symptoms like pressure. They cannot bring dead or damaged cells back to life. This therapy targets the root cause, aging, that could restore vision thought was gone forever. So, this could be really significant for people who have lost their driver's license or ability to read due to glaucoma could potentially regain those abilities. Ditching the drops instead of strict daily eye drops regimens that could irritate the eyes, that could eventually be a one-time infrequent injection. New hope for neon. For patients with neon or a stroke of optic nerve, there is no current cure. This gives them the first real option. So this is entering the first phase 1 human trials now. So we're likely to see something about 5 years or so from now, depending on how well the trials go. Longer if they don't go well. It involves an vitreal injection. That means a needle directly into the gel of your eye. Well, common for other conditions, it's invasive. So I will not be running out to get this, just for the record. The safety first. This modifies how your genes express themselves. So the biggest worry with gene therapy is always unintended side effects like inflammation or body attacking the viral vector. It worked incredibly well in monkeys and mice. However, human eye are more complex, and diseases like glaucoma are often discovered late. We don't know yet if it works on severe long-term damage in humans. So I'm excited for this for people, but if I have to take an injection to the eye, I'm not doing it. John, how about yourself?
Yeah, well, you know what? Put me under and then inject in my eye. That's fine. But I don't know. Did you talk about uncontrolled cell growth?
No.
Okay, so that's the other risk. So early research has shown that reprogramming can lead to uncontrolled cell growth or even cancer in animal studies when it goes too far. So that's a huge risk in this when it comes to epigenetic reprogramming. So let's hope that they've overcome that in the ER100, but obviously that's why they're going through some trials right now, right?
Absolutely. So let's hope they overcome it. It reverses the DNA methanol clocks, effectively making the cell biologically younger. So we'll have to see if it passes these things and if it gets into production. And, I'm like this and moving forward because ideally we're going to get to a treatment that is not a needle to the eye. But This is an important milestone. It's the results of years of research demonstrating controlled OSK expression, restoration of methylation patterns, and improved visual function. So this is a pivot point in medical history. We are moving from treating symptoms to literally reversing the biological clock of our cells. So is this a true future of medicine or just another high-tech promise? Let me know what you think in the comments below, and we'll keep watching the story closely.
Yeah.
So we're coming into March, John. What's going on? Or we're probably in the middle of it now.
Yeah. So for those of you right now that are looking to expand outside of Canada, sales and whatnot, the Can Export program is currently open until May 29th. Some key changes. The minimum threshold is now $300,000 in revenue. So if you have that and you're looking to go to trade shows and travel for your business to expand outside of Canada, reach out to me. Or if you have questions with other non-dilutive funding, find me on LinkedIn at John Irwin. How about you, Craig? What do you have going on?
Well, we've always got stuff going on at Flowgrammer.ca where we do business and AI automations for company, and we run Flowgrammer's Community Hub where we host events online and in person in Toronto. We do Flowgrammer Cafe, which is a day-long drop-in workplace. Bring your headphones, bring what you're working on, and work. We have experts around that do all sorts of different AI and automation, and we just finished one last Friday. It's usually the first Friday of every month in downtown Toronto. Check it out on flowgrammers.ca at Flowgrammer Cafe, we call it. People really enjoy the experience. They get tips and advice and learn new tools and get to understand that there's other people doing the same things around them. So that's all at Flowgrammer. And if you're a startup in Toronto and you want to check out everything related to startups, founders, and investors, go to torontostarts.com. You'll find information on our monthly startup investor drinks, as well as other workshops and courses that are happening. So that's pretty much place to go for everything. And if people want non-dilutive funding, John, I think we talked about this, but
yeah, but let's remind them. Come find me on LinkedIn, John Irwin, JONIRWIN.
Fantastic. Thanks everyone for watching and listening, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, everyone.